we're near breaking points on so many fronts that I don't think they can hide it much longer. And I don't know if you saw I know in New Zealand you guys are cooler, but in Australia they're in meltdown. Tasmania's in meltdown. There's Brazil right now. Same thing. There's fires all over where there shouldn't be. And the more they spray, and this is what gets back to Northern California and part of what's waking people up here. I've beat this drum for 7-8 years. The more they spray, the less it will rain. That's a scientific, indisputable fact. That's what we have. Now we have no rain. Now it's starting to sink in. People are waking up. So although it's getting warmer, if the Earth was allowed to respond, Vincent, if it was not for these aerosols, it would be raining much more. The forests would be thriving and not dying. Yes, sea levels might be rising, but so many of the other symptoms we have would be, we don't know how much better it would be, likely exponentially better had they never begun these programs. We might find ourselves in a completely different reality, but as it sits right now, it's grim and getting grimmer by the day.
Yeah, this is true, and maybe some PR stunts in order to call attention to the issue would be well served. You know, I was thinking about eating a hell of a lot of prunes and just waltzing into the New Zealand Parliament to remind them of the horror that can be unleashed by even a minor methane release.
Well, that's true. And, you know, maybe that would be a reminder for them. And what we have now on the last observation we had from, and this is on red herrings too, by the way, on the methane. We've seen all sorts of to-do about livestock methane and so forth. All that is just absolute red herring. And so, again, we have blame trying to be laid in certain places where it doesn't belong, and blame with the roads that lead back to geoengineering. A huge aspect of the methane release in the Arctic, because they've so radically altered the upper level wind currents with geoengineering, now we have ocean currents doing what they should not do, what they historically have not done. We have currents delivering warm water from the Atlantic straight into the Arctic. That shouldn't happen, but it is. And now it's helping to thaw the methane. So once you hamper the system, you hamper the whole system. So the last report we had from the Arctic, and they seem to be scrubbing data now, a Russian research vessel was observing plumes of methane from the seafloor a kilometer wide and seeing thousands of those plumes. So, again, geoengineering is pounding the nails into our collective coffins, day in, day out. Has to be dealt with. And aside from the fact that it's affecting us all physically, cognitively, poisoning our ability to grow any food, there's just no angle at which geoengineering isn't rapidly and totally diminishing our chance for even short-term survival.
I mean, you know, it is at that point where you need that those screaming people that are going, "Oh my God, we're all screwed, and I'm gonna die." You know, that kind of mentality, I think, in some cases is actually called for, because it shocks people out of their cushy little reality that is gradually being taken away from them piece by piece as the information rolls in that everything you have ever lived your entire life to achieve no longer exists. Get over it. The situation is dire. The situation's so bad that we can never retire.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly the point I'm at. I mean, and, you know, I've tried, as you know, and you you've rightly accused me of, you know, I've always delivered a pretty dire message, but because that's simply what the data dictates. But it's gone to apocalyptic now, because that's simply where we're at, and there's no more time to even pull a punch at all with this. It's we have to sift the herd here, if you will. Who's going to help and who's not, because we are indeed at the great turning point of what was compared to what will be, and I believe that this is where we find out what people are made of.
It is, and I'm looking now beside me at a stack. Literally, I think I've got about 8 very well printed chemtrail banners that were donated to me, that are stuck with duct tape that was donated to me on the backs of real estate signs that were donated to me, and I'm speaking to you on a Skype account that was paid for with donations, on a microphone that was donated, the computer itself was donated, and I'm thinking to myself, all of this has been given to me, and so hence the obligation is upon me to use all of these tools and gifts and things that I now possess because of other people, right? It is now my obligation to go out there and ensure that they get used to their full effect. I remember, I think it was about a month or so ago, Dane, that, somewhat more than a month, maybe 2 or 3 actually, where I was called to come and attend a chemtrail protest, and I was really exhausted. I was tired. I couldn't even fathom it, and I said to them, look, I really can't. And then I looked over at this pile of chemtrail banners that are professionally made, and knowing that I'm the only one in the country that has that stack, I had to go out there. I just strapped up my boots, got myself fueled up on coffee, and just went out there and did it. Not because somebody was forcing me to, but because I'm the only one with the power to. And I think we all need to recognise that power within ourselves. We all need to recognise our inherent responsibility that is granted to us by that power. We need to appreciate those around us who have given up things so that we might live.
I respect you for that, my friend. I truly do, and that's why I felt compelled to drop what I was doing for the chance to converse with you today. It's time very well spent, and I'm very grateful that you made the time also. And I spend about 10 hours a day on this now, literally, and it's all I do. It's all I've done for about 10 years, and some have helped. And there's a couple of, or one particular anonymous person who has helped us try to keep our head above the waterline so we can keep this work up. Astoundingly, I've had calls from bankers from Manhattan and from Texas who were completely livid about the spraying. But when it came down to actually contributing anything to the cause, nothing, absolutely nothing, because they just don't want to let go of the paradigm that they've had. But they won't have a choice much longer. And that sense of responsibility that you felt that made you pull your boots on and go out there and do it, that's what I feel now. I can't look at my kids and not do this. I can't look at any child and not do this. It's not just about my children. It's about all children. And I think about what people have been through, Vincent. I think about certain stories that I made myself read and remember. One story about a deaf, dumb, and blind African child who was dumped at a train station in Africa. Deaf, dumb, and blind. Can't see, can't speak, can't hear, doesn't know where he's at, doesn't know where his next bite of food's coming from, where he's going to sleep, where he's going to go to the bathroom. And I make myself remember that child somehow surviving under those conditions. And I think if that child can do that, then I can do this from dawn till dusk every single day. And so those sorts of stories, and there's others like them that I make myself remember. But this is where all of us find out what we're made of. And I hope that people that you communicate with, that I communicate with, stand back and abandon everything they've been conditioned with and evaluate what it means to be a human being, what it means to be a part of a whole, and what it means to make your moment, your part in this play matter. And I hope that we have a tidal wave of such people rise up, and no matter how dark the horizon is, again, we could take a quantum leap in the right direction, and who knows where the road might lead from there.
This is true. And as you're saying that, I'm reminded of migrating ducks and geese. And you ever had them fly over you? You know how they're always going at it like they never shut up. When they're flying.
Are you seeing any this year? Do you see any this year?
I only saw one, I think, last week. But what the point is that the reason why they fly in a formation is because that formation lessens the resistance of the air. As it punches through, it makes it easier for every other duck. Now, the only duck in that formation that is actually getting the full brunt of the wind, the one that is actually more or less has to be stronger than all the others, is the one at the front. And the reason why all the other ducks keep quacking and quacking and quacking as they fly is to encourage the lead duck to not give up, so that they can all keep moving in formation together. This is activism. This is activism. I mean, people like you and I, we are the ducks at the lead of that. And we need other people to quack in support so that we may keep leading.
We need them to fly with us as well. And this is where, many people are now. I do see more and hear from more people who are not just willing to voice their opinion now and then, but are asking me, what can I do? What can I do? And they truly want to contribute, and we're trying to help them contribute in whatever way they can. But at the same time, we're trying to teach them how to shoot from behind rocks and trees, so to speak, as the colonists did here when there was not the apparatus to be completely organized. And by shooting from behind rocks and trees, their ability to get credible information, we're trying to make that information available to them, like with our flyer. It seems to have done a tremendous amount of good. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's quite effective, and we have it on our site. They can download it for free. We're trying to express to people how you go about waking up others. Without, you don't go into a big emotional rant with no information to pass on. It doesn't work. Don't try. And we're trying to give them enough direction so that whether they're a part of some common effort we're doing, or whether they're in a skirmish on the front on their own, they'll have the means to advance, to make progress. And we're trying on every angle we can. And we certainly need other people to join this effort that have skills. We need people that have computer skills that can help us do certain things on a larger scale. But those people are starting to come up, and I've just started participating in Facebook as well, and I put that off for a long time, and I'm glad I engaged now, because a lot of people are there that I didn't have access to before, and it's helping. But other people, again, like George Barnes, who I will send you this link for, skyderalert.com. You can Google that, and you'll see, I think there's a trailer on that link, and I'll send you the full press link, Vincent. But George, very high in the food chain and the entertainment industry. He's a filmmaker, and realizing the gravity of this issue, and that's why he put together the film Look Up. I think it's a very good intro tool. Encourage people to get a copy of that film of George's and give a presentation on it. And we have a big presentation in L.A. That's another, I think he's won another award there, on February 7th at LAX Hilton. There's a film festival presentation there that I'll be attending, and it's getting higher and higher in the ladder, much faster now. But again, the walls are closing in much faster at the same time. So we're all in a race. But if we keep our stride right now, if we keep our pace up, we must. This battle must be won. So we have to keep our stride, period.
It is not a choice. It is a lack of options. And what I'd like to do is spend a few minutes, and because everybody says, oh, you can contribute and so on and so forth, but it's rarely specified as exactly how you can contribute. So here's a few things for the audience members who perhaps want to help expose the scumbaggery of chemtrail engineering, but are unable to do so or to think about it. First lesson: you don't need anybody's help to start protesting and doing something about chemtrail geoengineering. You need nobody's help. Okay, not to start. To continue, frack yes, I will admit that. Had I not been given the support that I have been, I would have done virtually nothing by comparison to what I have done. Secondly, that's if you have absolutely no compulsion. You haven't started doing anything yet. There are many, many things you can do. So first of all, you've got to be informed, or at least a little bit informed, enough to have at least a little bit of a conversation about it. In your daily life, you will encounter people all the time, and you can speak to them about chemtrail geoengineering whenever there is one above you. It is the perfect opportunity to point up in the sky and just wave at some random strangers over and just go, hey, look at that. What is that? You know, it's a chemtrail. Have you guys ever heard of this? You know, that kind of thing. Conversations, very, very good, because as a former telemarketer, I understood that the person-to-person conversation contact was the most powerful form of getting people interested into it. Anybody can watch a documentary, and the documentaries are absolutely good, and that's another way that you can help people into. You can give out DVDs. You can print flyers. Many websites currently on the World Wide Web have templates for all of these sorts of things. So if you have minor resources, such a few dollars for printing costs and what have you, you can carry around a wee stack of these and just hand them out to people in your street. You can make a sign out of cardboard and a felt tip pen and just stand on the corner yelling about it. Just don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. Hijack the mainstream media. Did you know, or at least this is the case in New Zealand, that if you call up a mainstream talk radio station and you mention the name of a politician, that politician will be sent a transcript about it? You can call up, mention a name of I don't know, I suppose in New Zealand the Environment Minister would be Nick Smith, who was famously exposed in, I think it was What in the World Are They Spraying, saying that, oh, these contrails are just jet engines, okay? And you can mention his name, talk about chemtrails. Even if that mainstream media talk show host hangs up on you in minutes, he'll still get a transcript. What if not just you, but another person, maybe even get 2 or 3 mates or something like that, with your cell phones, and call them up while you're sitting in a room, egging each other on to do it, okay? There is a will and there is a way, and you can contribute. Now, that's just doing things personally without including really anybody else in the process. It's about waking people up, about enforcing that will to expose chemtrail geoengineering on all of those people around you. Once you've advanced from that, once you realize that you have personal power, that you don't actually need somebody's help, then you can start advancing into the areas where you can work with people. And you will realize that you're so much stronger together because you didn't need them in the first place, and that so everything that you do with other people becomes an improvement on everything that you could do by yourself, and it encourages you to do even more and more and more. It's an exponential scale of scumbaggery exposing potential. All right? Dane, have I missed anything?
I don't think you have. And again, if people initially, as you said, they can do something right now, and one of those steps is just to simply learn enough. Nobody has to try to spend 10 or 12 years on it like some of us, but learn enough to have a grasp of just how dire the situation is and just how critical this one particular battle is, so that you understand that spending the time to do everything you just described is meaningful. It matters. And for every single person you help wake up, every single person whose field of vision you help expand and understand the situation, is taking one more step in the right direction for life on Earth, for humanity. And it's imperative that we all engage in this effort. And this is the issue. This is the issue of our time that must be dealt with. Again, even connected to nuclear catastrophe, which we're facing now as well, we cannot possibly think our way out of that situation unless we're firing on all neurons, and we're not going to be firing on all neurons for much longer if we continue to be exposed to geoengineering. So it's not only tearing the planet's life support systems apart, it's daily further inhibiting our ability to function and think clearly. So this is the battle. This is the battle. This is why some of us have focused all on this battle, because it rationally is the most important battle. So again, would not have a voice without people like you, Vincent. I'm very, very grateful that you're out there, and we'll continue to try to interact in any way we can. But everything you described are steps people should take, absolutely.
And of course, if you don't have the time, or let's say the social grace, to go out and be at the forefront and things of that nature. I mean, a lot of people just don't have the personality. Me, I'm a very, very arrogant, self-centered person to a degree, and so naturally I'll become a radio show host, except I use my negative attributes to get in the mind of my enemy and to do the direct opposite of everything that my instincts tell me to do, because I know that my instincts are wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? You kind of, I think there's